Temple Jeremiah. We're the only one there.
Oh, okay.
So good morning.
Morning.
Morning to everyone in person, morning to everyone online. Thanks for joining us. We'll probably have a couple more people wander in slowly, but this month in October is, Jackie, tell me if I'm saying this right, the LGBTQ History Awareness Month, something like that.
That's the one.
Great. And so we, the clergy and everyone here love teaching this session, but we also like being able to bring in experts in the field. So Jackie is one of the community engagement specialists at Keshet. In fact, Jackie is specializing in the Chicago area and recently is a Chicago citizen, whatever now. But for those who haven't yet had the opportunity to meet Keshet as an organization, we work with two different Keshet organizations. Yeah. So we have a very long-standing partnership with a local Keshet, which focuses on disabilities in the Jewish community. But this Keshet is based in Boston and is a national organization that focuses on LGBTQ awareness and education in the Jewish community and beyond the Jewish community. So Jackie is our community partner and is going to teach us a little bit about that Jewish component of LGBTQ history. So take it away, Jackie.
Wonderful. Thanks so much, Rabbi Heaps, and good morning, everyone. It's so wonderful to be with you all. We'll start with some brief intros, and then we'll dive into this fun LGBTQ history content. So I'll just share a brief agenda first, just so you know kind of how we're going to move through this morning together. We'll start with some intro and kind of goal setting for the morning, just to know where we're headed. We'll set some kavanot or intentions. We'll do a very brief dive into LGBTQ Jewish history, and then we'll have a discussion about it. So if at any point you have any questions, feel free to come off mute if you're virtual, or to raise a hand and jump in. I'll keep an eye on the chat box as well, but if I miss it because I've got a lot going on my screen, please feel free to unmute yourself and just, ask whatever you want to ask. Or comment whatever you want to comment. So into this intro and goals portion, as Rabbi Heaps shared, Keshet is a national organization that works for the equality of LGBTQ Jews. And we have kind of three main components of our work. The first is education and training, which is what's happening today. We also have our youth team that does incredible programs for LGBTQ teens and their allies. And we also have a community mobilization that does a lot of kind of work towards legislation that can move LGBTQ folks around the country in the direction of justice and belonging. So if anyone has any questions about Keshet, you're welcome to reach out afterwards. I'll include my email at the end of the training. And just to share a tiny bit about me, my name's Jackie and my pronouns are she and her. You may hear that I have a slight accent. That's because I'm from Cape Town, South Africa. And I've been living in the States for about 6 years. I was in New York working in arts education. And I just moved to Chicago this year to work with Keshet on LGBTQ justice. So I'm really delighted to be with you this morning.
Jackie, can we do some introductions of everyone, of all of our students too? I realize
that would be great.
Don't know each other.
Absolutely, please. Yeah, if folks would like to share their name, if you'd like to share your pronoun, and then any other info you'd like us to know today.
So why don't we start with online? I'll just go around my screen. So Jill, who are you?
Hi, everyone. I'm Jill Patano. I've been a member with Jeremiah for, I don't know, maybe 5 years now. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm very excited to hear all about this.
Alon.
Hi, I'm Alon Adler, and I've been a member of Temple Jeremiah for I don't know, 25 years, 30 years, probably 25. My pronouns are she and her, though I'm not used to using them, to tell you the truth. And I have a gay son.
Thank you. Jean. Jeannie, are you there?
Was.
Sometimes she walks away from the
Okay.
screen and listens. Great, we'll come back to you, Jeannie. Roberta.
I'm Roberta Mallon, and I've been a member for maybe 40 years. And I'm just interested in this topic, and so here I am.
Thank you. Alan or Sarah, whoever you happen to be.
Okay, hi, this is Alan, Alan Chorover, and I'm he. I'm not used to that. And I'm here with my sister Cynthia Chorover, who's visiting me from Boston.
Who's very interested.
In fact, I'll put us on video.
We would love to see you.
It's not working. It's not cooperating with me though.
That's okay, it'll get there.
I hit start video and it's not doing it. Oh, there we go.
There you are.
Okay.
Hi.
No. Winning.
Hi. So will you
Sue
start us off here?
Pinsky Gardner. I've been a member of Jeremiah for about 38 years. And it was fun to see today how different it is in religious school on Sunday as well. I'm very interested in the subject, and I've also been to some other temples where they've done programs on this subject, and I've learned more over the years, and I'm learning more.
Awesome.
Hi, I'm Becky Rogers, and I am a completely new member along with my friends over here, but we first year, and just like so many feelings, like humbled, excited, honored, like just like really curious, and I've never been a part of this discussion before in terms of the Jewish context. And so I am so excited and can't wait to learn.
My name is Jay Frank. My pronouns are he, him, and I've been a member for a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Well, I'm actually older than you folks.
Hi, I'm Kim Leaf, a new member to Jeremiah, pronouns she, her. Really excited to see such inclusion topics like the LGBTQ community, as well as just the social activism in this community, and very excited to learn more today about the history.
Hi, I'm Rachel Gold, and I'm also a new member. And I do have a son, a 4-year-old son, who I would describe as gender expressive, expansive, in a process that I'm honoring and excited to support him in. And just, this is really important to me. So I'm happy to be here.
Nice. Thank you. And Alan, I see that you're joining again. Maybe it's Sarah. I'm Rachel. I think I know everyone here. She, her, and I'm just very excited that Jackie can be with us today.
Thanks so much, everyone. It's so beautiful to meet you all. I'm really delighted to be spending the morning together. So let's talk briefly about some kind of goals of the morning. As Rabbi Heaps mentioned, this is LGBTQ History Month in October. So we're going to explore a bit of the historical context for LGBTQ equality. And we're also going to explore where that context overlaps with Jewish history. And we're kind of going to see how those histories become entwined when looking at both Jewish and LGBTQ communities overlapping. And I'll also share that this is really the beginning of a conversation. We're not going to walk away with a full set of expertise and facts and the full timeline, but this is the beginning of a conversation, and it's an invitation to learning more. So some cover notes, some intentions for the morning. I'm going to invite folks to come with a growth and learning mindset. And from what we just heard around the table during introductions, folks are really excited to learn and to be here, which is wonderful. And I'll share also that as a facilitator, there are many things that I don't know yet either. So I am also coming to this space with a learning mindset, and I'm excited to learn from one another. I'm also going to invite folks to take space and make space, meaning that we're going to be aware of how much airtime we're each taking up. So if you're someone who is often quick to volunteer to speak first, that's wonderful. And if you find that the first 3 times you're the first to speak, maybe consider sitting back on the 4th And if you're someone who usually sits back in group conversations, consider this an invitation to speak up more if you wish to do so, but also no pressure. We'll also ask folks to take lessons and leave stories. So if anyone shares something that's personal to them, you can share the lesson that you take from it, but leave the story in this group enclosed just to respect one another's privacy. I'll also ask that folks trust intent and tend impact, meaning that we're all going to be aware of the words that we use. And sometimes words can have impact on other people, even if we don't intend them that way. So if someone says something that doesn't sit well with you, please speak up and share it. And if someone shares with you that your words have negatively impacted them, do your best to tend the impact your words have had and seek to understand, considering this a part of ongoing learning. Also, we're all going to prepare for non-closure because we can't possibly address all of history of LGBTQ folks and Jewish folks. So treat this as a brief introduction, as I mentioned. I'll also invite folks to take care and stay present. So I know there are various needs in the different settings that we're all in. So do your best to be fully present and remove whatever distractions you can. But also we're all humans in human bodies. So feel free to stretch or take a break if you need it. And some of the content that we discuss will address some aspects of LGBTQ history that can be uncomfortable to hold. So if you need to spend some time away from the screen and take care of yourself, please do so. Also, we're a hybrid group. So online and in-person folks, we're each gonna kind of make room for one another's comments and questions. And online folks, if you could try to share verbally instead of in the chat, so I make sure I don't miss your comment, that'd be great. And in-person folks, it sounds like all the times we just went around the room, everyone was really clear. So I don't need to even ask folks to speak up. So that's awesome. And finally, I'll invite folks to have fun. We're going to be learning together through some creative means. So I hope you enjoy. Are there any additional cover note that you would like to add? Anything specific to this community?
I just want to make sure, is this loud enough in here for everyone? I can switch it to the TV if it needs to be louder. Okay. Good.
Great. So I'll keep us moving. And if anyone discovers a kavanah, an intention that they'd like to add throughout the session, please feel free to do so. This invitation is not closed. So let's jump into some history. I'll also just share that the slide mentions United States Jewish LGBTQ content. So we're focusing on North America, on multiple streams and denominations of Judaism, and on LGBTQ folks that this acronym can encompass. So LGBTQ, as you probably know, stands for lesbian, gay, bisexual, trans, and queer. But you may have seen the acronym expand to something like LGBTQ IA2S+. So that can also include intersex folks, asexual folks, two-spirit communities. There's lots of nuance within this word, and we'll use LGBTQ as a shorthand for anyone who identifies within this community. So folks may use the words interchangeably or define them differently for themselves, and that's totally okay. They are correct. Just for today, we're going to stick with LGBTQ. I'm also going to add that sometimes history can feel like if it's in a textbook and it happened, then it happened. But history is just a collection of individual experiences happening within systems, in moments, in patterns. And so everyone in this room is a part of United States history, of Jewish history, some folks of LGBTQ history. And I just want to celebrate the fact that everyone in our individual lived experience is also part of the fabric of history. So we'll hone in on specific events or pivotal moments, but not forgetting the fact that our lived experience is also part of this like tapestry of the content we're talking about. Are there any questions before we dive in? Great, seeing none, hearing none, let's go. So up on the screen, you'll see a board that says Jeopardy. And we're not going to be playing like a proper Jeopardy like you may have seen on TV, but we are going to do kind of a question and answer kind of round, because some folks in this room may have lived through some aspects of this history and may know, without even realizing it, some of this history already. So what we'll do is kind of compete as a whole team against the board on the screen, and we'll aim to move through as many squares as possible and kind of uncover and discover as much LGBTQ history as we can. But I'll also add that it's totally okay not to know the answer to some questions, because a lot of LGBTQ history is not taught openly because of stigma or misunderstanding or even homophobia. So we'll learn some of the answers together. I'll also share that the higher the number chosen, the more challenging the question. So the slightly easier questions are down at the bottom of the screen for 100. And as we move up towards 500, the questions get a little more challenging. So we'll probably spend, I'm guessing around 10 to 15 minutes to get through as many as we can, but we'll see how we go. The way it'll work is someone from the room or from online will volunteer to pick a color and a number. So you might say, I would like orange 300. And then I'll read the question and you can give the answer yourself or discuss with the room to give an answer. Are there any questions for how it'll work? Fantastic. So does anyone want to volunteer to pick the first question?
Go for it.
I would like, I think that's blue. Blue 200.
Blue 200, here is your question. In 1919, Magnus Hirschfeld founded the Institute of Sexual Research, which was a library, research facility, and social gathering place for LGBT Germans. This was also the site of one of the first book burnings when the Nazis came to power. In which city was the Institute of Sexual Research founded?
I'd like to refer to Google.
Maybe someplace in Germany,
Yeah, definitely.
Berlin.
Good guess.
Did you
We're
say
gonna
again?
guess Berlin.
Did someone guess Berlin? Amazing, you got that right. So we have 200 points. I'm going to remove blue 200. Great work. Does someone want to guess the next one or select the next one?
On a roll. Let's try Jeopardy 300. Blue.
Which color, sorry?
Blue.
Blue 300, okay. In this event in San Francisco in 1966, a group of mostly trans women of color and drag queens fought back against unfounded arrests and mistreatment in the 24-hour restaurant in the Tenderloin district. In 2018, it became the first legally recognized transgender district in the world. What is the event?
The event,
Mhm.
Castro.
It's yeah. So
That wasn't with Harvey Milk. That was
No.
too early.
I'm hearing folks piecing things together in context. A group of mostly trans women of color and drag queens fighting back against arrests in San Francisco.
I think we're stumped.
You're stumped, that's all good. The answer is the Compton's Cafeteria Riot. So 1966 was actually before Stonewall, which was the movement for liberation in New York. But really, Stonewall was part of kind of a national pushback against police brutality against queer folks. So I'm going to remove blue 300 because we still learned the answer together. But anyone like to pick the next question?
I'll pick pink 100.
Pink 100. All right. This one's a little outside of the kind of history we've already discovered, but the question is, in which year was Keshet founded in Boston, Massachusetts?
Does anybody? The 70s? I don't know.
I would guess not so long
That's a
ago.
guess, yeah.
Alan, you look like you might have an idea.
I don't know at all, I'm afraid.
It's all good. And I must confess, in that intro slide, this one over here, I was meant to tell you, which is why it's a 100-point question. So I apologize for forgetting to tell you. But the answer is that it's in 1996. So we're 25 years old this year. So I'm going to remove pink 100. Would anyone like to select the next one?
Yellow 400.
Yellow 400. What was the name of the person who designed the first pride flag?
I used to know this.
What do you know?
Are there any,
No.
are you allowed to give hints?
Am I allowed to give hints? I would gladly give some hints. Their last name is someone who makes bread.
Makes bread.
Baker.
Baker.
Yeah.
Nice.
Wonder.
The first name of Mr. Baker was Gilbert. So Gilbert Baker designed the pride flag with those rainbow colors.
Baker.
Yeah. Who'd like to select the next question?
Purple 100.
Thank you. All right. So in which recent year were transgender people barred from serving in the US military?
That was really fun.
Before Clinton.
2018,
Was that a guess? Sorry, I didn't hear it.
2018,
Very close.
2017.
A little further away. You're so close. The answer is 2019. Very close. Yeah, it's pretty recent. Pretty recent. Who would like to guess the next one? Oh, sorry, select the next one.
What about peach 500 or orange?
Yeah.
Peach is more.
Peach
Salmon.
500. Peach, salmon, coral, all of the above. For this one, the question is, in 2015, the US Supreme Court struck down all state bans on same-sex marriage and legalized it in all 50 states and required states to honor out-of-state same-sex marriage licenses in the case. What was the name of this court case?
Was the court case?
It's a tough one. It's a 500 question.
Will this be on the final?
I should have studied before this.
Yeah.
No worries. It's a bit of a tricky name to pronounce, so I actually have to Google its pronunciation. And the answer is Obergefell versus Hodges.
Oh my goodness.
So that's the name of 2015 case that allowed same-sex marriage federally. Anyone want to guess the next date? Oh, I'm having trouble selecting this one. I mean, the next question.
Peach for 100.
Each for 100, okay. So very recently, the US Supreme Court ruled that LGBTQ employees are protected from employment discrimination under the Civil Rights Act. In which year did this happen?
I think it's 2021.
Very close, it's 2020, just
2020.
last year.
Okay.
Yeah, but great work. Yeah, just last year, folks were added to protections under the Civil Rights Act. Yeah. Who'd like to select the next one?
I think we ought to get rid of the one that's first.
Rose 400.
Great, Rose, we're getting such beautiful creative names with the colors. Here's the question. In 2003, this school admitted the first transgender student known by the institution to the rabbinical school. What was the name of the school that has the Jewish Institute of Religion. It's a Reform rabbinical school.
In Cincinnati,
Sure, one of the campuses is in Cincinnati.
in New York, and Los Angeles,
What's the first half of the name?
Hebrew, no. Hebrew. Give me a hint. Been there, done that, but. Hebrew,
HUC.
oh, of course,
Hebrew Union
Yeah.
yes,
Amazing.
Where all
And
your
you'll note that I
pictures are
said,
yeah, yes.
yeah.
Mhm.
You'll note that I added, the school admitted the first transgender student known by the institution. There may have been trans students before that, but this is the first time someone was out as a transgender student.
What was the year again of that?
In 2003,
Okay.
Oh,
yeah. Who would like to pick the next one?
Yellow 200.
Purple 200. Okay. So after years of police raids and harassment, a group of patrons, mostly trans women and homeless youth of color, fought back against police brutality in 1969. This event was honored by community-led Christopher Street Liberation Day, which eventually turned into the Pride Parade, celebrated annually on June 28th. What was the event?
Stonewall.
It was Stonewall, yeah. And we already briefly mentioned it earlier in relation to the Compton riot, but yes, it was Stonewall. Our next selection,
Yellow 100.
yeah.
Get easier.
In 1977, an openly gay Jewish man was elected to city supervisor in San Francisco. He was later tragically assassinated by a fellow city supervisor, Dan White. What was his name?
Harvey Milk.
Milk.
Harvey Milk, that's correct. Who'd like to select the next one?
Retired.
blue for 100.
Blue 100. Jan Mumford founded this organization in 1973 as a support group for other parents of lesbian and gay children. She felt compelled to start this group after her son, Morty, was severely beaten after handing out pro-gay literature at a New York gala. She marched alongside him in the 1972 Christopher Street Liberation Day Parade, encouraging other parents to join her. What was the name of the organization that she founded?
PFLAG.
PFLAG, yeah. And that stands for, does anyone want to guess for some bonus virtual points?
What does PFLAG stand for?
PFLAG.
Yeah, parents and family.
Family, yeah.
Parents and family of lesbian and gay youth.
Yeah, it's been through a few iterations, but it began as parents of lesbians and gays.
Right.
Awesome. Who'd like to pick the next one?
Sarah, it looked like you unmuted. Do you want to pick the next one?
Well, how about Peach 200?
Sure. All right, so the name of the official United States policy on lesbian, gay, and bisexual people serving in the military, which was instituted by the Clinton administration in 1984, was called?
Don't ask, don't tell.
Yeah,
Oh, good.
that is what it was called.
Oh, no.
Any other selections of which one you'd like to pick?
How about yellow 200?
Yellow 200. ACT UP, which stands for the AIDS Coalition to Unleash Power, was founded by LGBTQ people to bring awareness of AIDS-related deaths and lack of research and funding to find a cure. They often used powerful theatrical direct action tactics to bring attention to the atrocities of the AIDS epidemic. In what year was ACT UP founded?
1980?
It is in that decade, but it's a little later.
1985.
Almost closer. It's 1987, but yes, a similar ballpark. Another selection of a cube or a rectangle, I guess.
Hot pink for 200.
Hey, hot pink 200. Reconstructionist Judaism became the first Jewish denomination to ordain openly gay and lesbian rabbis and cantors. In which year did this happen?
Please.
67.
It was a little later than that.
A little later would be 1970.
Maybe more than a little later.
Wow.
Maybe closer to 1990.
It is between the 70s and the 90s. That's true. The year was in 1984.
84.
Yeah. Let's take just a couple more blocks. I don't know that we'll have time to get through all of them, but if someone wants to pick one of the next few, feel free to go ahead.
Purple 400.
Purple 400. The original Pride flag had 3 additional colors. What were these additional colors?
With all of our creative names for colors.
Yeah.
Heliotrope purple.
Pink.
Pink was one of them, yes.
Turquoise.
Yeah, turquoise.
Oh, Sarah.
Sickness.
Brown, one of them?
Brown's not one of them, but brown has been added in recent years. Black and brown have been added to explicitly honor LGBTQ folks of color.
Oh.
So we've got pink, turquoise, and one other color.
White.
Purple.
Purple's close. The answer is indigo. So yeah, indigo is kind of a purpley blue. Awesome.
Taken out. Why were those colors taken out?
That's a great question. It may have been a production line concern that only certain colors were available. But I'll actually check on that for you because I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah.
We have a video on our website of the history of the Pride flag, and I'll check if it mentions that. Thanks for asking. So I'll remove purple 400. Let's take 2 more of these. Who'd like to select the next block?
Blue 500.
Blue 500. Okay, in 2012, the Rabbinical Council of America, which is a professional association of Orthodox rabbis around the world, sent an open email to its members that it no longer supported reparative therapy or corrective therapy, which means that individuals go to professionals to try and cure their LGBTQ identities. How many rabbis were affiliated with this open email from the Rabbinical Council of Orthodox Rabbis in America?
Was this
Yeah,
all?
me too.
All of them.
Yeah.
Sorry, I heard some overlapping answers. Would someone like to say it again?
Alan, what'd you say?
I just take a wild guess. It's at 302.
302 is a wild guess, and it is more than 302.
Sarah, did you have a guess? Sarah?
Yeah, no, I was just asking, I didn't hear if it was all branches of Judaism. Orthodox. Oh, Orthodox.
Yes, it's an Orthodox
Okay.
branch, the Rabbinical Council of America. It's a
Wow.
professional association of Orthodox rabbis.
Uh-huh.
Mhm. Any other guesses?
Can you tell us how many rabbis were on that letter to begin with?
Members in the association are
Yeah,
over 1,000.
Yeah, over
Yeah.
1,000.
Over 1,000.
Oh, thousands.
The open letter probably was a majority then.
I'm gonna be optimistic. 850.
Getting
850.
closer, yeah. And there's
Wow.
actually reason for even more optimism because it was over 1,000 who signed on to the letter. Which
Really?
is great news. Yeah,
Wow.
wonderful. Does anyone want to guess or select the last block that we have time to uncover?
Let's knock out the blue block, blue
Okay.
400.
Blue 400. What TV show featured the largest transgender cast in history?
Oh,
I think I heard the answer.
that one on HBO.
Pose?
What's it called?
Pose. Yeah, that's the right answer.
Yay.
Great work, everyone. So thank you for taking some guesses at some of this history. Some of it comes really naturally, and some of it takes a little more thought because it's not always content that's top of mind. So I'm gonna
Very
stop.
esoteric questions. Learn.
Absolutely. I'm gonna stop my screen share for a minute just to move to another screen share because I'm gonna put on the screen kind of a broader timeline of Jewish history and LGBTQ history. And I'll briefly play some music in the background and you can kind of review as we move through just to see how some of the questions that we discussed together fall in context with one another. So I'm just gonna share shortly and I'll play the music while we do that.
I believed in solid ground.
Sorry, I'm just scrolling to the beginning. So some we've done ourselves. Are folks able to read that? Is it too small? I can make it larger.
A little small.
Okay, I'll zoom in a bit. How's that?
Yeah.
1919, Magnus Hirschfeld founded the Institute of Sexual Research in Berlin. Yiddish play God of Vengeance, written by Shalom Ash, was performed in Greenwich Village and features the first lesbian kiss on stage. 1934, during the Holocaust, 50,000 gay and bisexual men were sent to concentration camps. They died before the war was over.
And move it across for folks to read.
1961, Illinois was the first state to strike down the anti-sodomy laws. Interior riot in San Francisco. A group of mostly 4-hour restaurant in the Tenderloin district. Uprising in New York City. After years of police raids and harassment, mostly trans women and homeless youth of color. 1972, the first gay and lesbian congregation in the U.S. was founded by Chaim Hadashim in L.A. Sexuality removed from the DSM, the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual, are considered a mental illness. 1977, Harvey Milk, an openly gay Jewish man, was elected city superintendent. Conservative movement officially allowed the ordination of women. Constructionist Judaism became the first Jewish denomination to ordain. Was founded by LGBTQ people. Finding here. The URJ, then known as the UIHC, announced a national policy declaring lesbian and gay Jews to be full and equal members of the religious community. The official United States policy on lesbian, gay, and bisexual people serving the military. Grounded today. Boston, Massachusetts. Student Matthew Shepard was beaten, tortured, and left to die for being gay. Strikes down Committee on Jewish Law and Standards in the Conservative Movement revised their official position on same-gender relationships, the religious recognition of same-gender relationships, and for ordination of gay and lesbian. Pastor Joy Layden became the first openly transgender college for women. Of more than 1,000 Orthodox rabbis. 2014 JTS. Ordains first known by the URJ passed a resolution on the rights of transgender and non-gender. Defending the rights of transgender and gender non. Its own commitment to the continued.
So we're nearing the end of this timeline, some of which we have already discussed. So I'm going to pause the share and I will share this timeline with folks after today so that you can review it if you would like to read more. But I know that that's quite a lot to hold, and thank you, Rabbi Heaps, for reading those. So if you'd like to, you can take a breath with me and just, it's a lot of history to bring into our space. So I want to offer a time for reflection on some of what we learned in Jeopardy and learned through this review of the timeline. And I'm curious to know from folks, did any of these events happen much earlier or later than you initially thought?
I think for myself, obviously I don't know as much history as I want to or I really should. So it's hard for me to say earlier or later than I thought. They all happened later than I wished.
Yeah.
Oh. I was struck by the, oh, go ahead. I was struck by the fact that, like, I don't know what it was, but there was like 2 years next to each other. One where, like, I don't know if it was the Reconstructionist movement and then the conservative movement, but how far they were from each other in terms of their movement of acceptance. Like, you know, it makes sense in some ways, but it just feels like the different
like conservative Judaism versus Reform Judaism, how different they are, their beliefs throughout time, and how striking that was on the timeline.
I mean, I felt like similarly that the movement, the progress has been so recent. It's it's upsetting, you know. And I think the timeline just illuminates that. Because so many of these ideas that maybe I feel maybe I'm taking for granted are fairly new or fairly newly accepted.
The other way of looking at that, I lived in San Francisco in the late 60s, early 70s, and was reasonably active. A lot of things are recent, but coming from that period, it is really remarkable. I mean, it is really remarkable to turn on television programs and see a series where not only are there LGBTQ people playing roles, but the fact that they're LGBTQ has nothing to do with their role, their place in the, it's just, things have been normalized that were considered really horrible back in the early 70s. So it's never enough, it's never soon enough, but in a small but important way, perhaps humanity is learning some things. And so when we say, you know, it'll never get done, it'll never work, it can never win, there is progress. There are setbacks, but it's not the 60s, it's not the 70s, it's not the 80s.
Thank you for saying
Yeah,
that. For
that's a
bringing
wonderful
hope
perspective.
to it. Yeah.
And I'm really, I mean, I've got 12 grandkids. It's a mixed marriage. I've got 12 grandkids. One of them is gay, one of them is bisexual. The youngest one is gay and has support groups in his high school, for gosh sake. I mean, oh my gosh, how great is that? You
Yeah.
know? And his cousins really support him, and they're very, very young, you know, but they're aware enough so that the idea of him being gay being natural is natural to them. That is a victory.
That is a victory. Our goal is to get our young kids having the same interactions, and that's why we're here. Wonderful to hear that.
Absolutely. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. It's really powerful to think about how it may sometimes feel like there's a lot of pushback in the world, or that there's still so much that we have to work through, and how amazing to celebrate how far we've come. That's something really beautiful to reflect on and see as an LGBTQ community and as a Jewish community, to see that there has been so much progress. Is anyone else thinking about an event that surprised them, that was earlier or later than expected? Sorry, I think I cut someone off. Please go ahead.
No, well, I just wanted to say, like, as someone who is educated by those institutions that move way slower than I wish they would, I think that puts extra emphasis on the work that happens in congregations, because the truth is, a place like HUC or JTS or the URJ instituting these policies, that as much as I want to like give them credit for it, they're kind of reacting to where the community already is, rather than setting the intention for the community. At least that's been my experience with a lot of those social policies that our institutions are creating. So I think sessions like this and the work that happens kind of on the ground in the Jewish community help to influence those kind of ivory tower institutions that just pivot really, really slowly.
And Jeremiah was ahead of the times,
Mhm.
a long time ago.
Where, it's like advocates, and Jackie, you could speak to this, and maybe Rabbi Heaps, you could speak to this, like, where do you think the work is now? Like, what is the advocacy that needs to be done now that you feel like is very, because maybe you're more tapped into what's happening, you know, on a broader scale versus just in our communities, but like on a broader scale, what's the work that's being done now or that needs to be done now?
I'll jump in briefly to share that Temple Jeremiah has already begun so much incredible work on this, being part of the leadership project that Keshet runs, moving through an action plan with steps for changes. So a lot of the things that I would normally suggest to institutions, like changing signage and having LGBTQ stickers up in staff offices, I think many things are already happening at Temple Jeremiah. There's programming like today. So I think those small shifts in kind of programming, in policy, in culture are where I would love to see other organizations also move forward. But also speaking as a LGBTQ Jew myself, seeing this kind of support and very clear active support would have been so meaningful as a younger person. And so continuing to be active and vocal in support for LGBTQ Jews and visibly active and supporting, I think is really so powerful. And it's something like today is a step in that direction, absolutely. And I know we're sort of short on time, so I want to move to wrap up, but I also want to invite folks to continue to learn about this kind of content, about LGBTQ history. So I'm going to put in the chat, and I'll share after today a link to our resource library where there are a number of suggestions of books on LGBTQ history. And you can also reach out to me personally. My email's in the chat and online and on the screen if anyone would like to connect. And there's also a survey in the chat if folks would like to respond and give feedback about today. This was one of Keshet's first hybrid trainings since sort of beginning to see in-person content return. So we'd love to learn more about how to improve trainings like this in future. So if you'd like to fill out that survey, feel free to click the link in the chat, or I'll share it with Rabbi Heaps after today to circulate to folks. But otherwise, I just want to thank everyone so much for being here today. Really, it's so meaningful to see communities invested in LGBTQ justice and belonging. So I am happy to hang on for a couple minutes if folks have questions, but also I know that folks need to head to pick up kids. So thank you so much for joining today.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you all. Much appreciation.
Thank you. And I also want to say that if you're interested in continuing the work, we do have an LGBTQ task force that's focusing on programs like this, making sure that we are going beyond inclusion and really to the point of celebration. The religious community, not just the Jewish community, has a huge negative connection with the queer community, and we want to do everything that we can in order to break that cycle. So we've got a meeting coming up November 1st if you're interested. And like I said, continuing to do what might feel like very small steps, but end up making a really meaningful difference, even in the slow progress that we need to make.
When is that? What time is that meeting?
It's 7 o'clock, November 1st. It can hopefully in person, but I know already one person has to join online.
Okay.
So it'll also be hybrid. Yeah.
Okay, great.
And if you help me remember, I'll send you a link to that Zoom.
That would be great.
Yeah. And yeah.
This was a
So,
lot of stuff I didn't know.
yeah.
So it was, just a background of information.
Absolutely. And I also want to make one more extra plug that like Jackie said, this is not our only program that we offer that focuses on our support and connection with the LGBTQ community. Our scholar in residence, Scott Freed, is also identifies as part of the community. And when he comes to talk to us, one of the things that you said, Jackie, when you were talking about ACT UP, I had that line from from Rent going through my head, the song, Bohemian, they don't call it Bohemian Rhapsody. What do they call it? That song?
La Vie Boheme.
One, thank you. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
That they specifically mention Act Up in it, and Scott Creed had a large inspiration in Rent as part of that life support community. So he will be talking about his experience with AIDS, his experience in the gay community, as well as all the Jewish things that he's also very educated in. So
He'll be speaking Friday night, Saturday morning, and Sunday morning.
correct, yes. So he'll be speaking during Shabbat services Friday night, during Torah study on Saturday morning, and he'll be leading this regular Sunday morning session, but it'll start at 9 o'clock, not at 9:30. So he has plenty of time. He's also going to be speaking to our kids in the second session.
Talking about what?
There's so many different sessions. I don't remember which one is which, but stay tuned and watch your email and watch your
I didn't tell her.
your snail mailbox. I know, you guys need, you have kids and you need help. So thank you. Yeah, next week, Cantors, Friedman, and Zussman talking about all the tunes that we know or don't know in our tradition.
What time
And
is that?
also 9:30.
Okay.
So awesome.
Will that be in person or?
Both.
Oh, okay,
Both.
that's good. Good.
Thank you. And thank you, Jackie. Thank you so
Of
much.
course, thank you so much,
Welcome.
everyone. I'm so excited to learn about the sessions with, did you say Scott was his name?
Scott Fried, Fried.
Wonderful. I'm hoping to attend myself. That sounds amazing. I'd love to learn from Scott. Thank you so much.
I'll try to remember to send you, we've got a flyer with like everything on it, everything that he's
Awesome.
doing, so I'll send it to you.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, everyone. Shavua Tov, and I'm sure we'll connect again soon. Be well.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Rovers, bye Roberta, bye Jean.
Thank you very much.